Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Now, I have been away for quite a while and I just wanted to say, before I get started with the video, I am so extremely sorry guys. I really love making videos. I love being able to post to the channel, not just shorts, but full-length reviews. And I just haven't had a lot of time to do it. You know, school, work, it's just everything's been really bearing down on me. And I haven't had a lot of time to do stuff. But I should let you guys know I am still, collecting. I got plenty of knives that I've added to my collection that I'm going to get reviews out for you. And I just want you guys to know that I appreciate that you guys are still supporting me a lot. I mean, we hit 200 subscribers since I've been gone, which is incredible. You know, I remember posting my 100 subscriber video and not at all expecting to get continuous support even after that. I honestly thought 100 subscribers, that was the cap. You know, we're not getting past that, but we did, and now we're at about 264 subscribers, and I cannot tell you guys how amazing that is. The support is just incredible, and I appreciate it a lot. But I will say, Merry Christmas, you guys. I know I missed Christmas a little bit. Happy New Year's. You know, this year, it's just kicking off, and I'm super excited because I do have a video idea coming out probably within the next couple weeks. It's going to be my knives of 2022. I know it's 2023 now, but better late than never, right? I definitely have a couple knives that I really wanted to mention for 2022 and get that out there. So be looking forward to that. But anyways, guys, I just wanted to apologize, but also say how much I appreciate you guys for everything and the continuous support. And with that, let's get to the review. Today, I thought, what better way to celebrate 200 subscribers than not just reviewing one 940 Osborne. No, we're going to review two 940 Osbornes. That's right, two. We're going to be reviewing these knives, and on top of that, we're also going to be comparing these knives to each other. Going over what makes them different, what makes one better than the other, what makes the other better than the other, kind of just going back and forth on what I like about these knives and what I think these knives kind of lack, especially when compared to each other. So it's going to be really cool. It's going to be a new little format for me. I think it's going to make things a little interesting, kind of a versus video. But with that being said, I'm very, very excited for this review. This knife I got in November, and I've been carrying it pretty much 2 to 3 times a week, every week since November. I've carried, this one plenty. I've carried this one plenty. This is the 940 BK 2004, by the way. This is the Blade HQ exclusive with the M4 steel and the JG10. But yeah, I'm super excited to get this video out to you guys, and let's just get to it. So, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bump my tripod there. Anyways, getting started, here's the 940 Osborne next to the 940 Osborne. There we go. As you guys can see, the size comparison, these two are about the same size, it looks like. But with that, here's the PM2 as well, another king. I keep bumping the tripod. I'm so sorry, guys. Another king of EDC, though. We got that beautiful PM2. New knife to my collection. This is the PM3 lightweight. I'm excited to get that review out to you guys too. That's the CTS BD1N version. You guys can see there. The 940 is slightly bigger than the PM3, but slightly smaller than the PM2. So that's pretty cool. And then next, I figure I will show you guys the AD 20.5 next to this knife, next to these knives, I should say. This current AD 20.5 is the 3V. It's currently wearing some fancy G10 scales with some nice titanium standoffs. I put those on in about an hour. They took forever. I could not get the screws out, but yeah, look at that. It's slightly smaller than the 940, it looks like. And then here is the Hogue Deca. I'd say this guy's best comparison. This knife I absolutely love and will definitely be getting a review out to you guys. And then finally, just as a really good comparison for you, here is the Ontario Rat #1. Quite a bit bigger than these knives, but obviously the Ontario Rat is quite a big knife in and of itself. So There we go. Now with those out of the way, and you guys can now see just how big or how small these knives are, I'm going to get into what I like and don't like about these knives and if I can recommend it for you. So first of all, I'm going to talk about these knives blade. So here, or actually on both of these I should say, we have the reverse tanto. This is my first reverse tanto, and I gotta say I love the blade shape. It combines having a thicker, I should say, it's not super thick, but it's a thicker spine, with still a pretty good sharp edge. It definitely is a little bit more, supposed to be a little more tough, a little more rigid, than say, you know, a super duper thin spine and stuff like that. And it is a kind of shallower blade. It's obviously not a full flat grind, so you're getting a kind of more shallow blade with this knife, but it's definitely favoring strength and toughness over, you know, sharpness. So that's something to keep in mind, but it's also something I like. I think that's a really great thing. And you guys can really see that this knife is quite sharp. You guys can see I gave it my own little edge there. It is quite sharp even with that thicker spine. So that's really great. And moreover about the blades, this one is using S30V, which I love. It really does combine the perfect amount of edge retention to wear resistance and, of course, toughness. And then you have your M4 here. Now, as you guys know, I just reviewed the Shaman. I think right before I took my break, I reviewed the Shaman, which was also an M4 steel. And I do love M4 a lot. I think it's one of the better steels on the market currently. Its toughness combined with the edge retention is just crazy. It definitely beats out the S30V, but obviously it's not very corrosion resistant, so you have to get it in a black washed blade, which I'm not a huge fan of coated blades like this. I do favor the satin finish, but obviously it's needed for an M4 blade. I definitely prefer that my M4 is coated, so there you go there. These also both do have really cool like grinds on the back of the blade. You guys can see them there and there. It's really great. I do appreciate that a lot. I think it looks really cool and just adds to that overall aesthetic of the knife. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about with the blades, I don't think the blades go too crazy with their writing. Obviously, you have the Benchmade logo, a nice, you know, Osborne little maker's mark right there, and then you have your steel. This thing, this M4 version has the same stuff. It's just the same amount of writing. It's nothing crazy though. You're definitely not getting, you know, an overabundance of logos and stuff like that. And I do quite like the butterfly of the Benchmades. So I think that's really cool. I think it looks great. These also both have really great sharpening choils, which make it super easy to sharpen, or at least, you know, easier. You're not so worried about, you know, hitting the blade wrong or something like that. So I do appreciate that little sharpening choil that they put on the knives. Another thing that both of these knives actually have in common is the jimping for your index finger and your thumb. I love when they put jimping like that on a knife. It's subtle. It's not anything crazy. It's nice and like, I would say probably like more of a medium to softer kind of grit of texturing. It's nothing crazy, but it fits my hand really well and feels really nice. It's, again, not going to tear up your thumb or tear up your index finger, but it's just good enough. It does the job really well. I do appreciate that a lot. Now, this is where we're going to see some difference in these knives. So the traditional 940 comes in the green aluminum handles and a nice pink backspacer. I love that. I think this has an amazing look. I love this color of green. It's a super duper nice, deep, dark green. I love that a lot. Definitely reminds me of about like a woodsy kind of green. I do like it. And then obviously that pink backspacer, not only does it lend itself to making this knife maybe pop a little bit more if you were to drop it out in the wilderness, but more than that, it just looks cool. It's a cool color. You know, they always talk about how real men wear pink, but in reality, real men put pink on their knives, you know what I'm saying? And so when you have this nice pink backspacer, it adds to the overall aesthetic. It's really nice. Not something you would expect on a knife like this, but I do like it a whole lot. With this knife over here, the BK 2004, you're going to be getting this nice natural G10 color, the Jade G10. It's a little bit see-through, so you can see the full workings of the axis lock. You can see a little Omega spring there. You can also see how deep the liners go for the G10. This is also, both of these knives are rather light, but this knife definitely favors, weight than this one. This one's definitely a little bit heavier. This one's definitely a little bit lighter. So that's really nice. But anyways, the handle is really, really cool. I love that Jade G10. It's a really, really nice color. And I like that it's a little bit see-through, so you can kind of see your inner workings of, your knives, which I like a lot. And especially if something goes wrong with the internals, you can actually see it and know what you're going to have to fix. So that is definitely a good thing, and I do like the handles a lot. I think both of these knives definitely have incredible handles, not only in color, but also design. These are both super ergonomic handles, by the way. Really, really nice in the hand. You guys can see that there's some slopes cut into the handles to make them just that much more really great for the hand. Everything's nice and rounded as well, which is just really, really nice. I love it. It fits in my hand, and it's once it's in there, it's in there. So I love that a lot. Another thing, the axis lock, obviously, gotta love the axis lock. It's strong, it's practical, it's fidgety. It's just a great lock. And both of these knives, I would say, have a super smooth action, but definitely the BK 2004 has that slightly better action, and that might be because because it comes from Blade HQ. Maybe they do something different to it, or maybe it's because I did a little bit better with my KPL in this one than I did in this one. I'm not 100% sure. These both did get the KPL treatment, by the way. They got a full disassembly. I looked into both these knives. And they both got plenty of KPL, but this one just came out a little bit smoother, which I'm really surprised about. But yeah, nice and smooth. Everything's nice and smooth. Everything's really great. And that axis lock obviously is an incredible lock. Flipping these knives over, I do like both of these knives pocket clips. Now, this is not the standard 940 pocket clip. The standard 940 pocket clip is this really not super attractive black clip that just has Benchmade written on it. You guys can probably see it a little bit right there. Benchmade. It's not a super nice pocket clip. It's not my favorite. I knew I wanted to get a different clip for it, so I got their deep carry pocket clip. It was about $10 on their website. It was only about $1 to ship, so I definitely like that a lot. But I like me a deep carry pocket clip, and it fit this knife really, really well. I'd say the only downside to this is if it hits anything, it's just going to smack against the scales and make this really obnoxious sound. Obviously, aluminum hitting aluminum is not going to sound great, but I do like this clip a lot. Obviously, deep carry is kind of my favorite. That's really where I try to lean towards for EDC. I'd say the only downside of this pocket clip is it doesn't have recessed screws, but even then, that's a small sacrifice for a really, really nice clip. And I got it in silver instead of black because I think it fit the blade a little bit better, fit the whole knife aesthetic a little bit better. Now here, this is not a deep carry pocket clip, but this is kind of a new clip. I was really surprised when I saw this because this was not the traditional 940 pocket clip. I ended up finding out that this was the 940 I want to say dash 2, which is the G10 version. This is that clip, the clip that comes on that one usually. So it made sense because that's pretty much what this knife is. This is just an upgraded 940-2. So I do like this clip a lot. It's a lot better than the one Benchmade sent. I like how it looks. It's got a cool aesthetic to it. And it doesn't have Benchmade written in tacky letters on the pocket clip itself. So I do like that a lot. Now I could definitely go into a lot more about these knives, but I think the main thing I can say is these are probably two of the most carryable knives ever. They're nice and slim in the pocket. The length is right on for me. I love how I think they're a little over 7.5 inches, maybe creeping into 7.7. I don't know, but they're a good size. I do like the size. I do like the weight. And again, the width is really nice as well. They're nice and skinny in the pocket. So more than anything, I do like how carryable these knives are, how EDC friendly these knives are. So with that out of the way, I'm now going to talk about what I don't like about these knives. And so right off the bat, going back towards the axis lock, those Omega springs, you know, I've heard way too many stories of way too many people who have broken axis locks, excuse me. And I have not broken an axis lock yet, or broken an Omega spring rather, because you can't really break you can't break the axis lock, you can only break the springs. But I have not broken one yet, but the amount of stories I've heard of people breaking their Omega springs, it's pretty alarming. And for me, I'm a very fidget person. So when I have a knife in my pocket or I'm at work or something and I want to take my knife out and flick it open, flick it closed, I'll do it about 1,000,000 times. I mean, something like this PM2, when I carried this thing opened and closed and opened and closed about 1,000,000 times because I couldn't help it. It's a very fidgety thing. Knives are very fidgety. And these two are no different. They're very, very fidgety, but I try to tell myself, hey, you don't want to break the Omega spring, try not to fidget with it as much. But I don't like having that mindset. I don't like that I have to think that way. I'd rather just be able to flick my knife open and closed, you know, 1,000,000 times if I really wanted to. But, you know, it's that caution with the Omega springs. They're not as strong as some other springs. You know, they're not as good to go. And I have seen that there's aftermarket Omega springs that are much, much better. They're made with much better materials and will hold up to time, but apparently these ones just aren't. So I've heard a lot of bad things about the Omega springs. Not really experienced it for myself, but it's definitely something that I'm a little cautious about. Another thing I'm not a huge fan about these knives is I don't know what happened with both of mine. Had this problem, by the way. But for some reason, the pivots keep loosening. The pivot screws keep loosening up. I had to go in and put so much Loctite in these because when I completely, you know, took the knives apart, the screws had like no Loctite on them. And I was so shocked about that because I don't know if I might be thinking of Spyderco or something. But to have a company that like really does put a strong emphasis on taking apart your knives and how to do it properly and stuff like that, I could have sworn that they would have put like some red Loctite in there, something like really strong. So when I took this knife apart, these two pivots, the pivot screws, were so easy to take off. And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then I looked and there was zero Loctite on either of these, by the way, not just this one, but both. And that was kind of not a good thing. I don't like that. I don't know if they're just stingy with the Loctite and just decided to skip mine because they knew I was ordering from them. But they really, really did me as dirty as possible with the Loctite, and that wasn't very great. And obviously, I had to go in and fix that, which is not a great thing. But more than anything, the big problem with the 940, the only thing that I would say is truly, truly negative about the 940 is the price. Both of these knives are kind of on a different plane, though, when it comes to price. So I'm going to put this guy out of the way real fast. With this knife, the price is crazy. It's well over $200. That is not okay. You're getting an aluminum knife with S30V. Right? So I'm going to show you guys something real fast. Here is the Code 4 by Cold Steel, right? Aluminum handles, S35VN blade, which I would argue S35VN is just as good, if not arguably better than S30V. And it has a triad lock, which is one of the strongest locks on the market currently. Yet, even though that knife was $80, I got my Code 4 for $80. This thing is well over $200. That is crazy. Crazy. That is a crazy amount of money for a knife that shouldn't be any more expensive than $150. And that's generous. Saying $150, that's still way too much money for a knife like this. But they made it so much more expensive, and I'm not 100% sure why. And believe it or not, this knife, which is meant to be an upgrade, is $190. An upgraded knife from the traditional version is only $190. It is almost $30 cheaper. because this knife I think I got for like 220 bucks. So this thing is literally almost 30 bucks cheaper, and it's got M4 steel. I can definitely tell you this one's price is a lot more fair than this one's, because with this you're getting a premium steel, a super steel. With this one, you're getting just the standard S30V. With this, you're getting JG10, which you can't get JG10 on any other 940. With this, you're just getting the traditional 940 aluminum scales that have been on the 940 since the beginning of the 940. So I don't know. The price on this one, I just can't get behind. And even this one might be a little on the pricier side for what the knife is. Obviously, it's not a super big knife, and I get it, it's using M4, but even then, I've seen M4 sell for like $160, $170, and I would say that's probably a more fair price for this, but it's $190. So both of these knives really fall victim to their price tag. But even with that, I can 100% recommend this design. Either or you go with. You can go with the, fully backspaced traditional 940, or I should say the fully, it's got a backspacer, it's got a full backspacer. Or you can go with the, standoffs and the G10 and the M4. You can go with that. I definitely recommend this one over the 940-2, which these two are the same exact price, by the way, the 940-2 and this version. Same material, other than the M4, which is much, much better than S30V. I wouldn't say much, much better, but it's a little bit better. I do like M4 a lot better than, or not a lot, but I keep contradicting myself here, but I like M4 better than S30V is what I'm trying to say. So I definitely recommend this over the 940-2, but obviously, like, the price is still just crazy. But you can get either or of these. I can still recommend both of these. These are still incredible knives. In fact, I would recommend buying these as soon as you can, because at a certain point, the price jump is going to happen again, and they're going to be way, way too overpriced. So I personally think that if you guys are really, really into the design, really into the knives, get them. They're really, really great pieces. I definitely recommend maybe getting this version over this version, because this is the more traditional version, but obviously this is in short supply. So if you really like the knife and the colors and everything, get this one, honestly. But again, both great, both recommendable. And yeah, so I think we'll call it there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy this review. I know it was a little oddball, and I definitely am not as good at reviewing as I maybe was, but obviously I'm a little out of practice, and we'll get better with time. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, whatever you guys feel like you want to do. And with that, thank you.